what your Valentines and Galentines want this year. They want you to make them some mosaic art. I mean, come on, there's no better way to show your loved ones how much you care. This is kind of in your wheelhouse, you know. So in today's video, I'll show you an adorable, quick mosaic project that you can whip up in just a couple of hours. And the icing on this sweetheart of a project, it's up to you whether you grout it or not. Let's get to it. Welcome back, and if you're new here, my name is Julie. And on this channel, we talk about tips, tricks, tools, adhesives, materials, and specific mosaic projects, all to shorten your learning curve when it comes to creating mosaic art. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please consider subscribing. How good does it feel to make mosaic art for your loved ones? Darn friggin' good, am I right? A heart or love-themed mosaic goes a long way with the recipient. You took the time to make the pieces, and maybe you used beloved TESSERAE like stained glass, vitreous, smalty, millefiori, or glass tile, for example. Or maybe you included words or phrases that mean something to them or the two of you. Mosaic art for Valentine's or Galentine's Day, or any holiday really, is a sweet personal gift. And I say Valentine's, Galentine's Day because we don't want to forget our best gal pals. They've been there for us through thick and thin and will continue to be, and we want to celebrate all the loves we're fortunate to have in our lives. Today's mosaic is a mixed media project, and as I mentioned in the intro, it can be grouted or not. I didn't grout mine, and to be quite honest, I'm still on the fence about whether I will. It would work either way, and you'll see what I mean a little later in the video. So in today's video, I'll share the substrates I'm working with and how to prep them, the TESSERAE selection when creating a mixed media mosaic, what your adhesive options are, and of course, the tiling. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get started. Let's first talk about the substrates I'll be using in today's video. At the time of filming this video, it's Valentine's Galentine season. So right now there are lots of substrate options out there in the marketplace for you to choose from. The letters I'm using today come in a 2-set pack. However, I'm just going to make one set in this video. I'll link the exact substrates that I'm using down below in the description in case you'd like to make a mosaic right now. If you're watching this at a different point in time in the year, I will also include links to other substrate options that are good year-round. You can access this information if you're watching on your desktop computer by clicking Show More underneath the video description. If you're watching on your smartphone or your tablet, you can click the down arrow to the right of the video title. So the substrates I'm using are made of wood, and they're thick enough that they can stand up on a tabletop or shelf on their own. I like that. And they're a cute size too. Both measure just under 4 inches tall and about 4 inches wide and almost 1 inch thick. With the substrates being wood, that means they're porous, of course. Although I'm only going to mosaic one side of the letters, I still need to prep both sides since one side will be tiled and the other will be painted. I don't want the moisture of the adhesive or paint to be sucked up by the wood, but rather sit on top of it. Plus, if you don't seal the wood properly, it can cause your adhesive not to do its job correctly, and your grout and paint could crack. I did a video here on the channel all about how to prep wood for mosaic, and I'll include a link down below in the description so you can check it out once you're done watching this video. I painted the backs and sides of the letters. Now you're probably wondering, why do I paint, sign, and seal the backs of my mosaics ahead of even starting the tiling? That's because I don't want to run the risk of accidentally painting the adhesive in a non-grouted mosaic or the grout in a grouted mosaic. I would much rather finish off as much of the back and sides of my mosaic first and then tape it off. One bonus to this method is that once I'm done tiling and or grouting, the mosaic is most likely all done. Once the substrates were prepped and painted, I was ready to get started with TESSERAE selection. Now, just a brief note about substrates in Mosaic before we jump over to the TESSERAE selection, and that is, although I used wood in this project, you don't have to use wood. You could use metal or ceramic or resin. I'm trying to think of some other letters that I've seen out in the marketplace and what materials they were made of. But basically, just because I used wood letters doesn't mean you have to. Okay, now we're ready to talk about the TESSERAE. I want my letters to be a mixed media mosaic design. I love the mix of shades and textures and finishes all coming together in one mosaic. Seems kind of symbolic since this is a love-themed mosaic. Each one of us, think of us as a piece of tessera, and we're all coming together in this world to create one big mosaic. You see what I did there? Was that cheesy? I hope not. I thought it was beautiful. We're all a mosaic, right? So let's embrace this. I got started pulling together red tesserae like stained glass, smalty, glass tile, porcelain tile, ceramic plates and a bowl, glass gems, vitreous tile, and mille fiori. And within this mix, I made sure to include finishes that are a regular glaze or gloss, as well as matte finishes and iridescent. This is what I would consider a really nice mix of TESSERAE, and it gets me so excited. Then I moved on to pulling together the pink TESSERAE from my materials stash. And I went about the variety of materials the same way I did with the red. I went through my TESSERAE and picked out stained glass, porcelain tile, vitreous tile, ceramic tile, mille fiori, and glass gems. And again, I made sure that within this mix, there was regular glazed pieces or gloss pieces. There were matte finishes as well as iridescent. You can certainly keep to one type of TESSERAE, texture, finish, or shade. You know, basically whatever you like. I just wanted to mix things up, which I think adds a lot of interest. I'll include a list down below in the description for all the substrates, TESSERAE, tools, and adhesive that I used in today's video in case you'd like to make some Valentine, Galentine letters of your own. One quick note about the adhesive I'm using before I get started with the tiling, and that is thin-set mortar. So that is a cement-based adhesive here in the United States. Where you are, it's going to be called something else, but you just want to look for a cement-based adhesive. I wanted to get that out of the way before I started tiling because I'm sure you'll be sitting there wondering, what is she using? That's what it is. It's thin set, but we're going to talk more about that as I tile. And if you aren't familiar with how to mix up thin set or cement-based adhesives, or maybe you want to color it or tint it or add a little glitter, I've done a whole series of videos right on this channel about thin set, and I will include a link to the playlist down below in the description so you can check it out. To get started on the red X, I mixed up a small amount of thin set since this substrate isn't very big. I'm using a dark gray thin set on both letters actually, since they're a set, but also I want the contrast of the gray to come through, so to speak, in my final mosaic artwork. So after I mixed up my adhesive and the chemical reaction was taking place, and that process takes about 5 minutes after you mix the powder with the liquid, I went ahead and taped up the outside of my letter with painter's tape. This will keep the thin set contained to just the tiling area or tiling surface of my letter. Because thin set can stain the painted surface, so to speak, I want to keep that dark gray off of the painted area. So now that my letter is taped up, I can get started with tiling. With adhering tesserae to a substrate, you have a few different methods. You could butter the back of each tessera. Or, like what I'm doing here, you could smooth on a layer of adhesive. Now, I'm doing this for a few reasons. First, I don't want the wood substrate to show through any tesserae that aren't touching. And second, I want the dark gray thinset to be part of the overall design of my mosaic. I'm counting on the contrast of the adhesive to the tesserae and colors. So in essence, these letters won't just be red tesserae or pink tesserae, but rather red and gray and pink and gray. The gray will pull them together as a set, as if X and O would be individual. I don't think so. Now, since I've got the air conditioner on here in the studio, yes, I know it's crazy to have the AC on in February, but I'm in Miami and that's how we roll. I'll work in small sections of adhesive so that it doesn't dry out before I'm able to adhere the tesserae. As I'm tiling, I'm making sure I don't put two of the same exact tesserae next to each other. It's just a rule I have for myself. And I'm placing each tessera as close to the next one as possible. And if they're touching, great. If they aren't, great. I'm just enjoying the flow of tiling. If you want to use cement-based adhesive, but you don't like the standard colors that it comes in, which in the US is gray and white, then, as I mentioned a moment ago, you can color or tint it to whatever you want. Just start off with white and build your color from there. So check out that playlist on cement-based adhesives down below in the description to get you started. Another reason I'm using thinset is because I'm working with tesserae of different thicknesses. Now, this is no big deal, and it's easy for you to remedy if you want the surface area of your mosaic to all be at the same height. Thinset or cement-based adhesives set up nicely and allow me to give the illusion that all of the tesserae are of the same thickness, even though in reality, they aren't. It's important to note that I'm only using hand-cutting tools on this project. You can certainly use a sanding stone, file, or electric grinder. I just chose not to go that route and only relied on my cutting tools with the tiling. Do you ever do that where you set up these rules for yourself before you even begin tiling? Please say yes. So yeah, I kept things simple and basic and had to cut everything by hand in order to make them fit, but honestly, it wasn't bad at all. As I tiled, every so often I would check out the side profile of the letter to make sure the tesserae were basically all at the same height. I did butter the backs of some of the thinner tesserae in order to build them up to the level of the thicker tesserae. Okay, here's a tip when working with ceramic in a mosaic like this, which is it won't be grouted. I don't want the white portion of the glazed ceramic tessera to show on my mosaic. Remember, I want these letters to only be red and gray or pink and gray. So what I do to any of the ceramic pieces is I'll apply a light layer of thinset to all of the sides of the tesserae before I adhere it to the substrate. This will, in essence, stain the white porous portion of the ceramic. And then all you see is the beautiful glazed surface of the ceramic and any of the gray thinset. And once I was done tiling the red X, I went around the perimeter of the mosaic and smoothed over any areas of adhesive with my finger and then very carefully removed the painter's tape. This gives a really clean line between the adhesive and the sides of the substrate. And then I put the red X to the side and got started on the pink O. And speaking of the pink O, before I started tiling, and just as I did with the red X, I taped off the sides and middle of the substrate with painter's tape. Once I mixed up the thin set and was waiting for the chemical reaction to take place, I cut down some of the pink TESSERAE to start with. And then I got to work, smoothing on the thin set to the substrate using a wood craft stick. Again, I'm working in small sections since the air conditioner is coming on and off. I jumped in and started tiling, making sure I didn't place two of the same TESSERAE next to each other. I have enough variety in the materials that I selected, so this wasn't a problem at all. As I tile, let's talk about some other adhesive options if you aren't interested in powder-based, cement-based adhesives. And I do understand it's messy, and some might even say, regardless of how amazing it is, that powder-based cement adhesives are a hassle. You can certainly use the pre-mixed varieties of thin set or cement-based adhesives. It is more expensive, but definitely less messy than powder. It's still just as drying though to your skin. Now, this isn't a beauty channel, but you definitely want to put lotion on your hands after you've worked with thin set, or grout for that matter. Other adhesive options would include a white PVA glue like Weld Bond that dries clear. You could also use silicone, whether it's colored or clear. Another option is tile adhesive, which is also known as mastic. And let's not forget about epoxy sculpt, which comes in a variety of colors, plus you can mix up your own specialty color as well. Now, all of these options, in my opinion, should only be used in a grouted mosaic of this kind. You might feel otherwise, which is fine. I'm just giving you my opinion. But if you did use any of these adhesive options, I would recommend painting the surface area of the substrate where you'll be tiling as well. I could, however, see epoxy sculpt working out okay and looking similar to the look of the thin set if you used enough of it. What I like about the thin set is that it's thick and sets up nicely, but it's also somewhat forgiving if you decide an hour later that you want to pick up a TESSERAE and either replace it or cut it down more. But again, it's cement-based, so it's a lot more difficult to pull off your TESSERAE from the substrate once it's been sitting and drying for a few hours. And once I was done tiling the O, I smoothed over areas of thin set with my finger and then very carefully pulled off the painter's tape from the sides and center. Now both letters will sit here and dry for at least 24 hours before I move on to the next step. The final step, if you created an ungrouted mosaic, is to carefully run your fingers around the edge of the TESSERAE to check for any sharp points. If you have any, then use a file to carefully smooth things over. And there you have it, an adorable, quick Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day gift or home decor for your house that comes from the heart and is as unique and original as the love you have for your family and friends. Aw, how sweet! I'll include a list down below in the description for all of the substrates, materials, tools, and adhesive that I used in today's video in case you'd like to make some Valentine's, Galentine's letters of your own. Question of the day, have you made a mixed media ungrouted mosaic and used an adhesive other than what I used in today's video? I would love to hear. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up as it really does help my channel, and subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification so you never miss a single upload, and let me know in the comments if there's something you'd like me to cover in a future video. I'll see you soon. Bye. Well, hello. Your smartphone or your tablet. Nope, that didn't go smoothly. Let's do that again. Nope, 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 nope. Tablet, you can click the down arrow to the right of the video title. Yeah, especially this no. You guys thought that was cheesy, didn't you? We really are. We're all part of this mosaic. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna start singing Kumbaya, okay? I will spare you, but yeah, it's beautiful. Whoop, whoop. Y'all, if you knew the timeline that I was on, I didn't have internet, it's been a morning, and you know what? You and me, we pulled it together, and here we are, and this is like awesome. It is awesome. I'm so glad you're here. And yeah, I'm just glad you're here. That's it. You have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you're looking for more mosaic inspiration, you can check out one of these two videos. Until then, see ya.